Why are we giving India 422,000 visas while they buy oil from communist Russia and then flirt with the Chinese Communist Party? Are we a stupid country in America? People maybe forget that India isn't communist China, is it? India is actually the #1 world's largest democracy. Here in the United States, Indian Americans are successful engineers, CEOs in the tech industry. Many of them are doctors in hospitals and are successful in our universities. They help America achieve what it can at its best, right? But Trump was right. India sells us billions, blocks our exports, and with sky-high tariffs, they rip us off, and then buys weapons from the communists in Russia. So that's not actually a friendship, right? That's like a one-sided deal. So why do we bend? Here's the nightmare. If we here in America push India away and they join the Chinese Communist Party and Russia, like for real, that's it. Losing India is potentially the biggest foreign policy mistake in U.S. history in the last several decades. The one that actually tips the world order so far. America's never a powerhouse, ever again. So this isn't about are we soft, it's about are we smart. And as an American who supports President Trump, I give him the benefit of the doubt that I'm missing something. And I want President Trump to get this right, because if America is only safe if India is with us, not against us, the clock is ticking.
What's up, guys? How are you all doing? First of all, let me apologize for being away from this channel for a while. It's because I've been on the very tight deadline working to translate my own book, Romansa Gayo dan Bordeaux. That if we translate it in English, it will be Romance Gayo and Bordeaux. In this book, I make a story about the wine and coffee, the history, and how it affects the global civilization. And also here we talk about the French Revolution and how the similarity between Indonesia and France. I have to translate it in French, and the publishers only give me 4 months to finish it, to translate all, it's all 446 pages in this book. It's mean I have to translate at least 5 pages in a single day. Okay. And it's been a thing for me, but today I want to shift the focus from literature to the geopolitics and make the video part today. It's because while I've been racing against the side with words, the Donald Trumps have been raging against image. I think we have been read the tweet that posted by the Donald Trump when Donnie saw India drawing closer to China, and then watched the parade in Beijing when Xi Jinping stood shoulder to shoulder with Vladimir Putin, Kim Jong-un, and it is the most interesting thing, the Indonesia's president, Prabowo Subianto. And it makes Donald Trump furious, because for Trump, this wasn't just a parade, it was the declaration of the world is changing. What that Washington no longer control the narrative. Okay, now let's dive a little more deeper into the terminology of the Global South. Here when we talk about the Global South is not just a geographical term, but it's a political identity. It refers to the developing world in Asia, Africa, Latin America, and Middle East nations that were once colonized and suffer or often feel disadvantaged by a global order shaped by the West through the institutions like IMF, World Bank, or WTO. So here we see, by constantly invoking a Global South, Xi Jinping presents China as the main leader of these nations. Okay, now let us turn to the symbolic meaning of the front row lineup during the military parade in China. It's featuring Vladimir Putin, Kim Jong-un, and Prabowo Subianto, Indonesia's new president. What precisely China want to signal, not only to Donald Trump personally, but also for the wider international community through this carefully choreographed front row lineup in the very forefront of the global stage. First of all, let's analyze about placing Putin in the front row. Why China? What the symbolic meaning behind it? Of course, to place Putin in the front row is the message to the world that China want to show that Russia is an intimate alliance of China. So she placed Vladimir Putin in his side, and is signaling that Russia is China's number one strategic partner in shaping a multipolar world order. And at the time when Russia is being isolated by the West over the war in Ukraine, she wants to show that Moscow is not alone. Beijing is primary pillar of support. And the message to Washington is also the message to the Washington and Europe that China want to show that China and Russia is inseparable. So isolating Russia, it means confronting China as well. That's the message for placing Putin at the front row. Okay, the second, why Kim Jong-un, why place Kim Jong-un in the front row? This, of course, China want to show the anti-U.S. or the Trump card, anti-U.S. or anti-Trump card. The presence of Kim Jong-un in the front row is symbolized the Beijing continued political shield over Pyongyang. This placement is also a provocative signal that in the midst of the nuclear tension in the Korea Peninsula, she was demonstrating that the anti-American bloc is solid. It's stretching from Moscow to Pyongyang. So this is also the message to Seoul, Tokyo, and also Taipei or Taiwan. What China want to say, and Washington, of course, China want to say that do not think that you can play tricks in East Asia. We have allies to disrupt. Okay, that's why Kim Jong-un is there. And finally, third is the most interesting for Southeast Asian people, and especially for us in Indonesia, is the presence of the Prabowo Subianto, the new Indonesian president, in the front row with Putin and Kim Jong-un. Why he is there? Because we see Putin and also Kim Jong-un is portrayed by the world as authoritarian leader, in authoritarian country. But why is Prabowo there? That is the strategic role of the Prabowo in the front row, and symbolic meaning behind it with Prabowo. Firstly, Prabowo is the face or the new face of the global South. The global South, as I explained before, is this new face of this global South is Prabowo. Why? So that's why the presence of the Prabowo Subianto in the front row, for China, it has a highly strategic meaning. Is why. That's because Indonesia is the world's third largest democracy. Alongside with India, is also present for the first world largest democracies there. And the second reason is Indonesia is ASEAN biggest economy. And Indonesia also natural leader of the global South. You remember with ASEAN African conference in Bandung, and also non-bloc movement or initiated by Indonesia. And Indonesia is not a traditional ally of China. Okay, And the other hand, that's Indonesia is not a traditional ally in China, but Indonesia carries the crucial geopolitical weight with its neutral stance. Indonesia always maintaining a good relationship with both with U.S. and China. By placing Prabowo alongside with Kim Jong-un and Putin, China want to send a message to the world that our multipolar model is not only authoritarian, it is also supported by democracies and regional powers like Indonesia. So shortly, there's a geopolitical message that she wanted to see to send with by this carefully choreographed lineup in the front row during the military parade is that China want to send a message to the world that he or China now there's a multipolar front against Western hegemony. Okay, and so she wanted the world to see that the front row as the icon of new global alliance. Russia, symbolized by the military power, and North Korea is the symbol of the nuclear disruptor, and Indonesia is the global South legitimacy. Okay, and also this for shaking the U.S. narrative that the Prabowo presence here at the same level as the Putin and also Kim Jong-un made it difficult for the West to dismiss the event as a mere authoritarian club. Okay, the meaning China can also wield soft diplomacy with non-Western democracies. That's why the Prabowo was there now. And also, it's projecting China's hierarchy and patronage, with Xi at the center and flanked by figures across the spectrum, a nuclear superpower, an isolated regime, and a major democracy. Beijing wants to projecting that itself as the axis of the new world. All non-Western diplomatic roads now lead to China. So if we can make a conclusion that the front row lineup in this parade was a geopolitical theater that directed by Xi Jinping. With that, Xi Jinping was telling to the world, we have hard power, Putin and Kim. We have also soft power, Prabowo with Indonesia. So we are no longer just a defensive Eastern Bloc, but the center of an alternative global order. And if Trump is angry, it's proof that strategy is working. So, okay, that's it. But now, that's a question, if Beijing truly sees ASEAN as important, why? Was it Prabowo who was placed in the front row and not Anwar Ibrahim, the Prime Minister of the Bangladesh, who currently serves as the ASEAN Chair? What makes this even more striking is that Anwar, along with Prabowo and Modi, was one of only 3 of the 26 invited leaders who are not traditional partners of China. The answers are, first, its legitimacy power versus protocol formalities. Okay, why we say that? Okay, Anwar is a 10 that's even as ASEAN Chair, but everybody in the world, but maybe in Bangladesh, knows that that role that Anwar carries, it's only a rotational protocol-based role, not more than that. On contrary, Prabowo attended that event as the president of Indonesia, a strategic role. Since Indonesia is widely seen as the de facto leader of ASEAN, not just a rotating chair, key message here, we do not merely respect the titles, we respect real geopolitical weight. ASEAN may be chaired by Bangladesh administratively, but the true influence in ASEAN lies in Jakarta. And the second reason, Indonesia as a gateway to the global south. Demographically, economically, and militarily, Indonesia far outweighed Malaysia. So, by placing Prabowo in the front row, Xi Jinping signaled that China views Indonesia as primary bridge to the global south, especially Africa, the Middle East, and ASEAN. Okay, in other words, if you want to talk with the global south, you talk through us, China, and through Indonesia. The third reason, Prabowo is a unique figure. Prabowo carries a brand that Anwar does not. The first brand is a military background, perfectly aligned with the symbolism of military parade in that event, And after that, what Prabowo carries is a strong ties with Washington. Okay, as long as time defense minister Prabowo, he studied in the military in the U.S., United States, and yet even is close to or strong ties with Washington, yet also open to China, Russia also. It's making Prabowo making him ideal, flexible partner to showcase the bridge between blocks, West and East blocks. So here she deliberately placed Prabowo alongside Putin to Kim, is to send a message. We can embrace leaders who have access to Washington, but who are also friendly with China. By pushing Anwar to the second row, even Malaysia or even Bangladesh hosts the ASEAN chairmanship, Beijing issued a bold statement. ASEAN as institution matters, but within ASEAN, only Indonesia truly counts. In the other words, it's the message from Beijing to other ASEAN countries or ASEAN states. You have a role, but do not expect to be treated on the same level as Indonesia. And the fifth reason is the message to the West. The West can dismiss Kim Jong-un and portray Putin as isolated, but when Prabowo is showcased, like I told you before, in the front row, she ensures that the world sees a large democracy with a fast-growing economy standing alongside China. That's why Prabowo was there. Had it been Anwar instead, the message would not carry the same weight. Malaysia simply does not hold equivalent geopolitical significance compared to Indonesia. So with that, we can make a conclusion that by placing Prabowo in the front row instead of Anwar, Xi Jinping conveyed a multi-layered message. First, Indonesia is the leader, is a true leader of ASEAN, not just administrative chair. And secondly, China seeks to embrace major global South democracies to strengthen multipolar image. And after that, Prabowo was chosen because he bridged between East and West, rather than representing purely anti-Western stance. And fourth, Even Anwar Ibrahim was still respected as the ASEAN Chair, but he lacked the strength to symbolize the new world that Beijing wants to project. Okay, and thank you for watching my video. Stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.